Hello everybody, I'm Ajit K. Mishra. I'm here again with you all with a new session. Now to the second part of this session in which I'll be talking about punctuation pointers or punctuation issues. So, spelling errors along with punctuation errors create the largest or the biggest challenges for the writers. So, there are certain punctuation pointers that we need to wake up to, that we need to be very, very careful about so that we do not end up committing punctuation errors, because punctuation errors can lead to disastrous results if we do not take care of it. We may have all sorts of right intentions, we may have all sorts of good intentions, but if we do not take care of punctuation issues, all our intentions, those good and right intentions, will dash. So they will run into disasters if we do not take care of these issues. So these punctuation pointers are the things that we all need to be careful about. So let's take a look at these punctuation pointers. Let's start with the first thing, comma. I must tell you all that comma is the most misused and sometimes abused punctuation mark ever. So we have this habit of either not using commas at all or using them a lot. So whenever I feel that I'm not probably using commas, I'll just drop them from the top so that they can fall and settle down anywhere they please. So that's not a good practice, because we need to be very, very careful about commas, and especially when we use commas, we need to be extra careful so that we do not end up meaning something that we would never ever want to mean. So therefore, comma usage is a major problem. So it can either be no comma, that means there is a need for a comma and we don't use that comma. For example, if I say, let's eat Raghav, so it will mean that we are going to eat Raghav. That's not the thing. I want to say something else. I want to say to Raghav that let's go and eat. So let's eat, I must take a pause here, let's eat Raghav. So if I do not take that pause, while speaking I must take that pause, while writing I must indicate that pause by using a comma after eat. So let's eat, comma, Raghav, fine. If I do not use that comma, it will mean that I want to eat Raghav, so let's eat Raghav. So that will lead to problems for Raghav. And then, for example, if somebody writes in one's CV or one's resume that my hobbies are, colon mark, and then cooking dogs, without any punctuation mark, without a comma, that will mean that I love cooking dogs, which is not the case. I don't want to cook ducks. That will be bizarre, that will be terrible. So if I do not use that small comma in between cooking and dogs, I'll mean disastrous, bizarre, terrible things. So I should use a comma between cooking and dogs so that I mean the right thing. And then the other side of it, excessive commas. As I told you a while ago, that there are people who think that I'm not using comma anymore. They get anxious about it. They end up using lots of commas thereafter. So that's not a good habit. So unnecessary comma or excessive comma. For example, if I say the laptop on the table, then I put a comma, is mine. There is no need for a comma here, because I can always say that the laptop on the table is mine. There is absolutely no need to go for a comma. So if I go on using lots of commas, like if I say the laptop, comma, on the table, comma, is mine, that's going to break, obstruct the tempo, the rhythm of the expression. and it will sound awkward to the listener. So therefore, there is no need to use excessive or unnecessary commas when we do not actually need them. So similarly, when it comes to apostrophes actually cause terrible issues when it comes to writing, and when we do not take care of our apostrophe uses in writing, they can lead to big issues. So it can be no apostrophe. If I mean to say that this English Academy belongs to one Anu, and if I have to say this in a sentence, so Anu's English Academy. So after Anu, I must put an apostrophe to mean that this English Academy belongs to one Anu. If I do not do that, if I do not put the apostrophe, just think about it. I mean, how bizarre, how terrible it will appear and sound. So if I do not use apostrophe, it will lead to problems. Similarly, if I use extra apostrophe, and we have a tendency to do so. Most often you might have come across the use of extra apostrophe. For example, while ending one's email or letters, people generally write yours sincerely, and they put an apostrophe between R and S in yours, which is wrong. An apostrophe is not used there. It's not supposed to be used there in yours between R and S. So that's wrong. There's no need to use an apostrophe there. Just write yours sincerely. And then if I have to say you buy this product and it has $10 off. So if I use an apostrophe after dollar and before S in dollars, that's wrong. So it doesn't mean anything there. So therefore, it's not supposed to be used there. So an extra apostrophe can also lead to problems in the same way as no apostrophe can. And then when we come to undue exclamation marks, how often these days we come across salutations or opening lines of emails and letters that have lots of exclamation marks. How often do we come across such statements, such expressions? Many often. And they look so terrible at times, so bizarre at times, that we don't feel like reading the whole letter, whole content, after we come across such expressions. So, undue exclamation use is a big no. It is not at all advisable to anybody for the matter. So if I say our products are the best, then an exclamation mark, they really work. Another exclamation mark, get yours today. Another exclamation mark. Just imagine how will that look. Just take a look at this example and you'll find how bizarre it looks. It breaks the tempo of the statement. And then there are expressions in which while giving salutation to a friend or a colleague, people generally use several exclamation marks with the salutation. For example, hello John, and then 3 exclamation marks. I hope you're keeping well, exclamation marks. Congratulations, 3 exclamation marks. These things are not at all needed. They are extraneous, they are unnecessary, and they do not add to the quality of your writing. Rather, they strip your writing of its quality. So therefore, we have to be very, very careful when it comes to the use of these punctuation marks, because they are punctuation pointers. These are the punctuation marks that actually cause the most of the problems. So the reason why we need to be careful about them is this. And I just discussed the issues associated with all these punctuation marks. There are a few punctuation bloopers and we need to guard ourselves against the attack of such punctuation bloopers, because they are so attractive, they are so fascinating at times that we cannot stop ourselves from using them. And when we do so, we actually risk our credibility, our reliability, and then our intelligence, our poor intelligence will be subjected to scrutiny, and that will raise eyebrows of our readers. So we need to be very, very careful when it comes to punctuation bloopers. So for example, these it's and it's with an apostrophe and it's without an apostrophe. So most often people end up using the wrong it's at a place. So if I have to say that it's in the possessive sense, most often we end up using it apostrophe s, because we have grown up learning the fact that an apostrophe means possession. That's not always true. So in this case, it doesn't mean possession. In this case, it is a marker of contraction. So it apostrophe s means it is. So it without apostrophe s means possession. So we need to be very careful, because most people run into this pitfall. So we need to avoid that pitfall. Similarly, yours and your apostrophe s. I have talked about it, so you know it now. And then when it comes to, meaning plurals, by adding an s to our family name, if we want to say Batras and Chopras or Guptas or Singhaniyas, there is absolutely no need to use an apostrophe before the last s. If we use an apostrophe before the s, it will mean possession. Somebody that belongs to one Singhaniya, or one Gupta, or one Batra. So, or one Matthew, one Silas, it will mean that. But if we do not do that, it will mean that we have the plural. All members who carry that surname in a particular family will be meant, will be referred to. So if I say Singhaniyas or the Smiths, the Blairs, it will mean that I mean the members of that particular family. Similarly, when it comes to using years with s for plural, there is absolutely no need to use an apostrophe after the number and before the s. So there is absolutely no need to use an apostrophe. It will be wrong to use the apostrophe. So if I mean to say 1990s or 1920s, 2020s, there is absolutely no need to use an apostrophe after 20 and before s. So there's no need. So there are several similar punctuation bloopers that cause several problems to the writers. As writers, we need to be very, very careful. So in this session, I talked about spelling issues and punctuation issues. So we need to be very, very careful when it comes to the use of spelling and punctuation, because they contribute tremendously to the writing activity. They also add value to the impact of our written document. So if we do not take care of these issues, along with the usage issues, we are definitely going to meet disaster, and then we have to embrace disaster, because we'll not be left with any other option. But that can easily be avoided if we begin to take care of our usage issues, our spelling issues, and our grammatical issues, because no writer would afford to do that And no reader would like to see these errors in the document, because the reader will not at all be interested to go beyond a certain point when the reader has to struggle with so many spelling, punctuation and usage issues in our writing. So therefore, it's very important that we take care of these issues so that we do not turn out to be bad writers. We certainly do not want to win that reputation. So these writing strategies are essential life skills, because in our everyday life, we need to do some kind of writing tasks. We need to perform those tasks with ease and with intelligence. So these writing strategies will certainly help you all. So that's all for this session. I'm sure you have taken note of what I have talked today, and you're going to explore these things yet further, because you would certainly like to enhance your life skills, especially your writing skills. So thank you for joining me. I'll meet you again in a new session. Bye-bye.